Hey, Mark.
Hello. Hello, welcome to I think it's the Mark Attwood Show, Adventures of the Cosmic Suit, and I'm joined today by
Eli the Everyman.
Eli the Everyman.
Eli the Everyman.
Eli the Everyman.
That's my 5D avatar.
You sounded Jamaican then. Eli the Everyman. I was like
Patois. Patois.
Patois.
Young man.
Where now? We've not met before, and tell us your story.
Well, I'm just like aligned with the organic human blueprint, Mark.
Sounds like we've got something in common then.
I'm just holding light for Mother Nature, Father Sky, that sort of thing, and I'm kind of watching the kind of the old world disappear. That's me really. I'm kind of watching it all slip behind us and trying to hold space for what's coming in and the new beautiful place that we're going to be living in the future. So yeah, that's kind of me.
That sounds very apocalyptic optimistic, which is great.
Oh yes, I like that phrase. Very good.
Mm.
Optimistic.
Yeah, it's not too easy to say, but if you get it out quickly, it's good.
Yeah.
Now you got in touch with me because let's start with this event, and then we'll chat around it because you've got a really amazing lineup of people speaking at an event in a few weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks. My story is September 2021. I did the first Shine seminars, just coming out of lockdown. Took me 4 or 5 months to get that off the ground because nobody wanted to hire a space out. Nobody was interested in hiring spaces during lockdown. That summer 2021. Got the first one off the ground. 55 beautiful people came along, had 6 speakers. We had an amazing day. We didn't talk about the nonsense. I did have a lady come up to me at the end and she said, "But you didn't talk about the pandemic." And I said, "No, that was the point." I said, "Everybody else is talking about that. We want to do something for us, don't we?" And she went, yeah. She said, "Yeah, it's great." And so ever since then, the Shine Seminars is just reconnecting community, self-empowerment, sovereignty, wellness and natural health, naturopaths. I have a lot of natural medicine people come along, and also spiritual practice. So meditation, mindfulness, breathing, qigong, etc. So it's sovereignty, health and well-being, and spiritual practice. That's what we're doing.
Beautiful. That's what we need.
Yes, yeah. And this event is I got offered the site, Mark. It just, how these things happen. I was at Sundara Community last year, but a little bit of a plug for Sundara Community, which is on exactly the same site in Westbury-on-Severn. And I got chatting to the owner, and he said, "Why don't you do your Shine seminars here?" And I went, "Yeah, sounds amazing." So I've hired the whole site, all the tents, the marquees, the yurts, everything is going to be for us for 3 days, and I'm so looking forward to it. I am so grateful to all these wonderful speakers for agreeing to do the event because it is truly it is a great lineup, and I'm very grateful and very honoured to have all of these people come along and share their wisdom.
Yeah, because you've got Laura Eisenhower, who I've done a show with but never met. You've got Clive de Carl, who I've done a show with but never met. You've got Mark Devlin, who I've never done a show with and never met. Yeah. Darren DJ. What, Darren? Oh, I've just realized. Yeah, I know him.
Yeah.
I knew him years ago. I went to see him speak years ago. He's brilliant. Chloe Goodchild, Emma Farrell. I've not met either of those. Michael Feely, I know him very well. Rory Duff. Me and Rory, I think we exchanged emails, and I really loved it. He's brilliant. Juliet Bryant, who I've not met. Tim Chalice, I've not met, but I've heard of him. Mark Keane, and Maria Wheatley, who I almost had on the show once, and she's amazing with the sacred sites and everything.
Yeah,
it is an incredible lineup. So I'm just going to tell everybody it's at theshineseminars.org. It's on the 4th, 5th, and 6th of August 23 in Westbury-on-Severn, which is in Gloucestershire, right?
Yeah.
And it's 3 days. You've got top evening entertainment, and you've got places for people to stay, or do they bring tents? How does that work?
We haven't got any tents. It is bring your own tent. There is. I have put on the website Airbnb links and Booking.com links. That's just the way people work with that. It's a difficult one for people camping. But yeah, I mean, I'm just very grateful to be able to ram 45 speakers into 72 hours, and they're all very, very gracious about kind of coming and living in a field for 3 days. Because some people, it's a little bit too much to do that. But I'm just really excited for the event. I really hope that people, it resonates with people and they come along and just be with us. It's like a being thing.
I've just found other people on your website. You've got David Edelman, who did the show with me in Manchester in April. You've got Nikita Stark, who's one of my mates. You've got Roseanne Jacks, who's also one of my friends. She's been on my show. You've got loads of people here that I know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a real synchronicity, Mark. There's a real synchronicity. I know Roseanne very well because she lives down the road from me. You've also had Janine on your show. You've done great work.
Which Janine are you talking about?
Janine, I think I can't remember what her second name is. Not Tarot by Janine. Her and Helen do a thing together, I think. I can't quite remember, but you did a show with her and Roseanne very close together. But yeah, I mean, we're big Mark Attwood fans in Bristol.
Are you?
Yes.
That always cracks me up. It always cracks me up.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's really good. And I mean, all these speakers would love to meet you and share their stories. They're all. I'll just tell you briefly. We've got. I met Richard Vobes. I was doing a talk because I talk as well.
I met him on Sunday.
Did you? Well, I met him on the 20th of June in Shaftesbury. I was talking down there. I do this talk, which is about frequencies. Well, I do lots of talks, but that one was about frequency. And he came up to me afterwards and he said, "Would you like to come on the show?" So I went on his show. And then I said to him, "Do you want to come to the event as my guest?" And he said, "Yeah." So Richard's coming for the 3 days, but he's going to do his podcast. He's coming as my guest, so he's just going to hang out. And he's going to do the podcasts. But
he's got a great camper van. I was outside it the other day, and I signed the book, and I handed him my book, and he turned straight to one of the pages with the swear words on, and went, "Ooh, there is a bit of swearing, but it's also, So I have no idea what he thinks of the book, but he's a lovely man. He's a lovely man. Yeah. He's done a great job. He's doing a great job.
Yeah, he really is. He's a lovely, lovely guy. I can give you a little bit of an exclusive. We've got a lady called Julie coming who does this thing on YouTube called Eat, Bake, Sing. And do look her up. She's absolutely lovely. She sings traditional English country songs, folk songs. And she goes out and finds tunnels and beautiful spaces to sing in. And I've been emailing her for a couple of weeks, and then she emailed me back 2 days ago and said, "Yes, I'll come down." So we've got Julie as well. Fantastic. And we've also got this incredible guy, Mark, who I would love you to connect with him. He's called Buster, and he's kind of like I just watched this little video with him on YouTube, and he was talking about how when the rain falls from the sky, it spins in a vortex and it charges the earth when it hits the earth. And I was like, "Who's this guy? Who's this guy? He's great."
Well, that's the kind of thing Harry Rhodes is talking about, and he's coming here next week to do a talk helping me open my healing center over here in the west of Ireland. I mean, isn't it wonderful that there's more and more to learn? It's just continuous, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, my consciousness has gone through the roof, just absolutely gone just straight through the roof. Harry's got his own tent at my gig. I don't know whether you know.
Oh, well, I'll find out. He's coming in, staying at my house next week. So
excellent. Yeah. No, Harry does a really great talk on cloud bursting.
I know.
And he's bringing his orgon machine to the celebration.
He's bringing it here.
Yeah, it's I mean, I just wow,
I know, wow. It's crackers, isn't it? we're all meeting each other, and we've all been doing our own thing, but it's really a time of like people getting together, and I've been going on about that since we were first allowed to travel, and started doing all these live events, and it's it's just so good. So I'm really pleased to connect with you. And if I can come, I will. At the moment, my travel plans are in flux, but I will let you know.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I hear about the things you did, and I know you did that fantastic gig up north in the monastery
Twice.
And yeah, what a great place to do.
Well, that was the same thing. That was the same thing. I presented the Great Awakening tour in Birmingham a year ago, and then after that, we were looking for other venues, and we booked Wembley Arena, and then they cancelled it. And I literally sat and said out loud to somebody, "There must be somebody who watches my show who's got a venue who's awake." And literally within 2 days, I got an email from the monastery saying, "Can you come and do a show here?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah."
So the big question is, Mark, is when are you going to come down south?
Well, I just did Leicester last weekend.
Yeah,
I've done Buxton.
Yeah.
There's a pub down south that I said I'd do a gig with. For me, it's all about if I go to the UK, I have to mix it with hopefully getting my kids together with their grandmother and seeing her, and then usually there's some other people that want to meet up, and then I try to combine it with talking and stuff like that, because I can't be away from my kids too long. I did so much traveling last year that it's not healthy for them when I'm not around. So I try to get them to come, but they're still not quite there. They still think all my followers and friends are old hippies, and they don't really care about that. But they, hopefully I'll be able to get them. I got my twins to come to the first Manchester event in October. That was cool. And that's when they first realized, oh, he doesn't just talk on YouTube. There's real people that watch him. And it's like, because they spent 3 years being embarrassed of me. So it's
really,
yeah.
How can I be embarrassed of you, Mark?
I swear a lot. I'm very flirty when I'm drunk, and I talk about UFOs, dragons, aliens, and pixies and fairies and things like that, and they all find that a little bit embarrassing.
Yeah, I guess. Well, teenagers think we're embarrassing full stop, don't they?
Well, that's true, but I'm getting cooler.
Are you? Yeah, my son's a little bit the same. He's a little bit the same. He was very he was kind of semi-impressed when I said that I might be talking to you, which is
really
well. I'll tell you what, it's really interesting, because over the last 3 years, I sit with my laptop sometimes, and I always say to people, I say to Sarah and Theo, my son, I'm like, oh, let's watch this. And we sit there and we just watch it, and we watched your interview with Martin Geddes. I'm a big Martin Geddes fan. I really am, actually. In fact, I do a talk about Q. I do a talk about Q. I've only given it once. It's a brilliant talk. I'm just going to say that because I've put it together. And Martin Geddes is like really like a pivotal, component of that talk. And he was really important for me at the beginning of COVID and through that first year. Because he was really coming out and saying things that other people just were not prepared to say.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in Britain, the UK, I spent a lot of time in groups in America, and I know you have a connection with America. I just kept saying to people when they were saying, "Oh, Q's a load of rubbish," I was like, well, there's 18 million Americans now who now know about all that. They didn't know about all that before. Why would the enemy tell us all their secrets if it's a psyop? Why would they tell us how bad they are? It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, it is a psyop, but it's a good psyop.
Yeah, it's a good psyop. Yeah. And the other thing I said, and this is my question that I say to anybody who doesn't believe in Q, what if we had a British version of Q? Can you imagine if we had a British version of Q? It would be mind blowing, wouldn't it?
Well, do we need one? Because the Q is universal.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is, like, coming out with the, I don't really want to go down this route, but the kind of Hugh Edwards, Philly Schofield type route that Q in America did. If we had that over here and we had posting, this is happening and that's happening, and
it'd be brilliant. Blah. I mean, my most recent YouTube channel got taken down because of Schofield and me connecting it all the way back to John D, and they didn't want that out. And
no.
And other people are talking about it, but they didn't go far enough, and they never do. And that's because most things are a limited hangout. And that's, you know, we should be, I think we'll look back on all of this and be, I think the Q post will end up being a Bible in and of itself, or a book of the Bible, or maybe it is the new book of Q, because there was a book of Q that got removed from the Bible by the Council of Nicaea.
Interesting. It's interesting that I found out that Q is actually the highest clearance in the energy industry in America.
Well, and in the national security business, yeah.
Yeah, really interesting. Yeah, absolutely fascinating.
It is. Yeah, and when you know, and obviously you know, and I'm only going to mention this for people watching because there will be people going, "Yeah, Q's the size of yeah." Well, why is JFK's grave in a queue? Why is Princess Diana's grave in a queue? It just appears everywhere. Why do I keep seeing 17 everywhere? Everywhere. I was in Leicester. Was it Leicester? Birmingham the other day, and I was going down the road where Tolkien lived, and as I turned the corner, apart from the Twin Towers at the end of the road, I just saw a dustbin with 17, 17, 17. No, was it 13, 13, 13? But the day before, I'd stayed in this Airbnb, and I sat in the garden having a cigarette, and the bins had 17, 17, and 17, 17 on top. It was just 17s everywhere. And like, you know, people think it's nuts, but this is the Matrix. So
yeah. It's definitely like kind of pulling the veil back, and actually showing the mechanics of how some of it is being worked and simulated. You know, it's I found it absolutely fascinating. You know, I really did. And when it stopped as well, when Q stopped in November, I was just like, wow, this is just really full on. You know, now it's like the game is now in real time. You know, it's like, it's now actually real. It's not just a game anymore. And then we saw all this craziness happening in America with all this, you know, I mean, America at the moment, it's just, everything's just out there. You know, the Hunter Biden laptop's now like a book, you know, and all that sort of stuff. It's just, I mean, it is a movie. It really is a movie, you know.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's where it gets so complicated, because it is a movie, but people are dying. And it is a movie, and Ascension is hard work. It is a movie, yet there's constantly these things coming in that are woven like a tapestry of lies and truth together. We're having to unpick them, like the Sound of Freedom. On one hand, it's great, it's showing everybody child trafficking. On the other hand, is it manifesting more of it? On the other hand, who financed it? They're all bad guys. On the other hand, did they get switched out? It's just like, what, plot twists and turns all the way along. And you know, I've had to spend a lot of time in answering emails telling people, look, you know, and they're going, oh, you shouldn't say this, you shouldn't say that. And I'm like, look, this is your personal journey. My job is to just show things and share things and get people to discuss things, because just to help them, and also just to stop them feeling isolated. That's the main thing that I think I've been doing the last 3 years, is just trying to raise a few laughs for people that have been stuck inside their houses and weren't able to go anywhere. But we've moved into a different phase this year, I think. Which is why I've been doing a lot of videos just to camera and not interviews. I've not done many interviews recently because it's just exhausting, because I've done like thousands of them.
Yeah, no, well, like I say, Mark, I'm very thank you for your service is all I can say, you know, because I've watched you and listened to you over the last 3 years, and you know, you've been a node of consciousness. You've been a real go-to point. It's like, well, if I want to get something of substance, I'll go and listen to Mark. And you know, I will say your work with Ian, you know, the videos you've done with Ian Welsh have been absolutely fantastic. You know, real consciousness raising stuff. Really good, you know, and thank you. So, you know,
my pleasure. I mean, it's just, for me, it's just been like a roller coaster, and I've just been following instructions whilst being a flawed human being, and I think that is part of the point, you know, the flawed human beings is what we all are. And, you know, there's all that stuff that I think I have said it before, you know, when I went to spiritual gatherings in the past, I always felt out of place because I didn't feel like I was spiritual enough, you know. I didn't have the right clothes, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's what this awakening really is. It's just about realizing that all of us are a piece of God. And that's a beautiful thing. And we have those powers. And I said this at the talk I did on Friday in Leicester. I said, look, why do you think they put all of this stuff out there to stop us? Why? Why would they go to all this extraordinary length and effort? Why? Because we're extremely powerful.
Yeah.
And we're just, and Q is part of that waking up to make us bloody realize it.
Yeah. Well, it's a $1 trillion machine. And if you thought about it logically, you'd run to the hills and, you know, you'd just do whatever you wanted to do. But actually, you laugh in the face of that machine, really, because it's still a machine, you know, and it's not connected to, you know, higher powers. It's not connected to super consciousness. And that's the difference. And that's what, you know, this final fling of this system that's been in place for thousands of years is throwing at us. It knows, it recognizes, it's crying at its failure, even though they're throwing absolutely all their resources at us all at one go. And you know, that is that in itself is just a huge positive energy to know that we are, you know, one of the things that I found that's been really beautiful is people are coming into their divinity, they're coming into their power, they're aware of who they are. And in fact, every day, and you know, I spent a week doing some qigong recently with Mantak Chia, and I tapped into another superpower that humans have that I never tapped into before. You know, and I know that you can just run on chi. You can fill your body full of chi, and that's it. You can just run on that for a week if you want. You know, all these superhuman powers, healing powers that we have, huge, innate, self-healing powers that I didn't know before. So, you know, for me, it's a massive, massive awakening, massive consciousness expanding process we're going through. You know, it's beautiful.
That's incredible. It's like, you know, my son said to me about 6, 7 months ago, why do you see all these things? And I'm like, I don't know. I just do. And why do you talk about them? It's embarrassing. So because I think there's other people that see them. They want to know that they're not the only ones that see them.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I've got to the point of saying the other day, if somebody's near me and they've got negative energies in them or something, often they'll just throw up instantaneously now. It's like really funny. Well,
yeah.
It's kind of funny. It's not for them at the time, but yeah, it's all about healing now and just being. I think it's all about. I mean, the reason why Q stopped, I think, and tell me what you think, is that it was like, okay, you've had all the information now. Now, off. It's the same as why Trump lost the election. It's like, okay, you're on your own. What are you going to do? And it's just all about sovereignty. It's always been about sovereignty. Look at how do I take care of myself? How does this system work? How do I heal myself? How do I stop being dependent and suckling on the nipple of the state? And, you know, and some people rose to the occasion and some people are still fucking in their beds with a pillow over their head, which is still amazes me.
Well, I think you're right. That's exactly what it is. It's like, you know, we have to stand up. We've just got to stand up and be ourselves and move forward in our own sovereignty and our own power. And once we become aware of that, you know, then we can just move on. And you're right about the healing, Mark. It's the healing thing is really, really important for us. You know, I've had people in the spiritual community say, "Oh, we're moving into the golden age." Well, yeah, that's true, but we're also dealing with a huge amount of trauma, and we've been abused for years and years and years. And there's generational issues that we've got to deal with, and we have to break all those ties. We've got to heal ourselves. So it's heal first, and then move on to the superpowers, right?
Absolutely, we're being prepared for what's coming by preparing ourselves. But I don't know whether you found it interesting. I found it quite interesting that there's a lot of what I call ascension dogma out there. Like, you're not going to ascend if you smoke, if you drink, if you eat meat. You're not going to ascend if you have sex. You're not going to ascend if you think about sex. You're not going to ascend. And I think all that's bollocks, because we are, what I'm getting, because I am getting direct information from source all the way through this, and I didn't even realize it. You know, I literally got told to start a YouTube channel. Poems got put into my head. They just came out, and everything I've ever said on stage, I've never once scripted what I'm going to say on stage during this process, and it all just comes from somewhere.
Yeah,
and that's amazing, you know, and I absolutely thrive on that. And I think all relationships are going to be different. I think that our whole food thing is going to be different anyway. And we are, and you know, people like you are learning you can survive on. I mean, I did a first 8-day fast about 10, 11 days years ago. And that's when I realized that actually we don't actually need food, or nowhere near what we thought we needed. And, you know, it's just brilliant. It's just like, and it is an individual journey, but I do love the fact that you're putting this event on and you've got people like Laura. Has Laura been to the UK before? I don't know if I've ever seen her in the UK.
Well, it's interesting. I've known about Laura since 2014, I think. And I watched a video of hers doing galactic history. And I was just like, what is she talking about? I didn't even understand the words she was saying. I couldn't understand it.
I couldn't. When I first came
Yeah.
across her, I was like, what's she talking about?
Yeah, what you talking about? And you know, I love Laura, and I go to her Zoom sometime. And she was, funny enough, you were in my Facebook group for a while, which you probably don't remember. But Laura was in that Facebook group as well. It was really interesting, and that all fell apart. But Laura is coming over to do Portal to Ascension in Glastonbury. And when I found out she was doing that, I was like, "Oh my God, Laura's in the country!" And
Who's that with?
That's with Neil Gower, who's her partner with Portal to Ascension.
Wow.
And Anton Parks is going to be there, with and Magenta Pixie as well, amongst other people. And I just booked my ticket, and then I just thought, hold on, that's the weekend after my gig. So I just emailed her, and she just said, "Yeah, let's do it." And you know, I'm picking her up from the train station from Gatwick, I think, or Heathrow. I haven't got that detail down yet, but you know, I feel having somebody like Laura kind of validate what I'm doing, and she's really excited for it. It's a beautiful thing. She hasn't been here since she was 25.
Yeah,
she is English. She's English.
I know, but she's a very people watching. This is President Dwight Eisenhower's great granddaughter.
Yeah,
and Dwight Eisenhower got duped in the deal with the ETs. She's this lovely, very, very intelligent person. So that's amazing. But this, as Charlie Ward says, this journey is crazy. I mean, I had dinner with Andrew Bridgen and Ricky. Can't remember his bloody name.
Ricky Lambert.
Yeah, and I was sat there going, I can't believe I'm having
dinner
talking about UFOs with with an MP and an England footballer. What? It's like,
yeah, it's brilliant.
It's insane.
I walked into a bar. There was a YouTuber, a footballer, and an MP.
Yeah, and I met Donald Trump and Eric Trump 2 months ago, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What? It's insane. And Biden, or the pretend Biden, was literally 10 miles away a few weeks before that. Wow. And it's like this world is so ridiculously tiny in it. But I don't know about you. Do you feel like? I mean, I think a lot of us have felt like we're walking in two worlds, but I feel like I'm in this other frequency most of the time, and sometimes I get annoyed by what's going on over here, but then it's just like an irritation. It's becoming like an irritation as opposed to a really big, heavy, dark, dense thing. Have you felt?
Yeah, no. I mean, I think we're becoming multi-dimensional. Like we are. I mean, we are, and certainly I did an event with Sandy Adams in Glastonbury on last Friday, and it was just nuts because my experience of that event as the guy who was doing the projector and the mics and running around and doing the timings and everything, I was in a different world to everybody else in the room, and my experience was just it was literally between the worlds. And I was getting information to go and talk to people. I spoke to the mayor of Glastonbury twice, and I had a conversation with the mayor of Glastonbury that nobody else had, and it was like a portal. Me and her just opened a portal up, and we had 2 conversations. It was incredible. So there is this like otherworldly sense, and we're beginning to, move in between the veils, and yeah, you're right. It is. I mean, I just laugh. I mean, I laugh at things. I don't watch the news at all. It's really upset me, all the adverts between the football, because I grew up as an Everton fan from my sins. And
I used to be mates with Neville Southall.
Did you? Well, that's interesting you said that, because I lived just around the corner from Neville Southall when I was a kid, because there's a place called Connors Quay in North Wales. And a lot of the footballers live there. And Michael Owen, who's Welsh, by the way.
I know.
And he was an Evertonian. Just going to throw that in.
He chose England over Wales, didn't he?
Yeah.
And Giggs did it the other way around, I think.
That's right. Yeah. So he went to Harden, the school.
Harden. Yeah. I was driving through Harden the other day, and I was having a flashback because I was in the Air Cadets in the 80s. And I got thrown in a mountain up Harden, and we had to camp out all night, and I'll never forget it. I loved it there. Yeah. I love North Wales. I was there all last week.
Yeah, I lived in Connors Quay, and I went to Ysgol Maes Garman, so I spoke Welsh for 5 years.
He did nos. Yaki da. Can I just tell you this funny Welsh story?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Because when I first went to Snowdonia, I went to Beth Gellert, which is where the Raw Goat Hotel is, and that's where they filmed Carry On Up the Khyber, right?
Right, yeah.
Right, which because I love Carry On films, so the little things. And we climbed up Snowdon, came down. I was starving, and I found this gorgeous looking restaurant. And on the thing, it had the menu, and it was like menu, starters, orange juice, mains, lamb. That was it. That was the menu. That's what I love about Wales.
Yeah. I genuinely love North Wales. I love South Wales as well. I married a girl from Barry.
Not a girl called Barry.
Well, you never know these days, do you?
You don't know.
But yeah, no, it's it's interesting.
That's a lot broad. That's a lot more stretched out, isn't it? Barry from the valleys. It's brilliant.
Yeah. No, I got a lot of time for Wales, and
so have I.
Yeah, beautiful place. We should do something in Wales. Let's go to Wales.
Well, I just did. I did a meeting in Carnarvon, and we got cancelled 2 hours before, allegedly because of an electrical fault. I think they probably got a phone call saying Mark Attwood
really
close it down. I don't know, but this happens all the time. A friend of mine's venue just got closed down today. My health centre's being attacked, and it's like it's all part of the course, really.
Yeah. Well, it's just another it's another test. It's another challenge. You overcome it and you move on. It's I mean, there's some great, besides the people who are coming to my event, there are some fantastic projects, that are
they're everywhere. They're cropping up everywhere. I mean, I bumped into Sue. I met Sue Stone the other day. Do you know Sue?
I know of Sue, yes. Yeah.
So Sue came up to me and she said, "Mark Attwood, I can't believe it's you." And I went, "Sue, I can't believe it's you." Because we did work together about 12, 13 years ago. And I just started seeing her name pop up on this Truther stuff. And she said, somebody would talk about this Mark Attwood bloke. And I went, "I used to know Mark Attwood." And then she looked at me and she went, "It's the same bloke." So we had a big cuddle. And then she introduced me to her two sons and her daughter. And the sons started a project. They came back from, I think they said they were in France. They came back from COVID and they just started growing their own food. And this has blossomed into a natural food project that's going really well. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. This stuff's actually happening. Have you frozen?
Yeah. Well, I think with your healing center, it's like with your healing center, isn't it? It's happening. It's manifested, and you're doing it. And it's I think it's happening all over the place. We've got a little project. Two lovely people opened up their farm just south of Bristol. Absolutely incredible. What an amazing thing for them to do for the community. And everybody, and they, he sent me a photo of he was talking to me. I delivered veg for 5 years in the 2000s, organic box scheme.
Well, Abel and Cole or something like that.
No, I'll tell you, it was actually for Organics to Go. And Organics to Go was run by Roger Hallen, who started Extinction Rebellion up, which is another absolutely absurd thing, and he was my boss for 5.5 years. And we won't talk about that at all, but how people diverge, how people move and do different, the choice point, I'm doing this, and Roger's like doing social disobedience and other doomster stuff. In fact, interestingly enough, I'm going to do an event in Glastonbury in September, and one of the themes that I'm coming across at the moment is the doomster mentality and the doom overlay.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you think about that, but it's just, I'm smiling and I'm laughing. I'll just quickly tell you, and I'm sure Jem Bendel won't mind me saying this. He did a talk in Glastonbury for Gail Bradbrook a couple of weeks ago, and he had a T-shirt which said, "Doomsters have more fun. Doomsters grow their own food. Doomsters have their own money." And on the back, I actually had I screenshot it from YouTube because I thought it was a perfect thing. But he's got this picture of Atlas, Atlas with the globe, and the globe is breaking. Yeah, so Atlas is holding the globe and it's breaking, and underneath it says #breaking together. And I'm just like, this is a doom cult. This is like, and I started talking to somebody the other day, and I was just saying, what are these guys like? Well, I found out the world was going to die before you. It's like, well, I'm going to go out and hold hands with my family, on the edge of the precipice before we all die before you. It's like this kind of celebration of the death cult, and it's really rising to the top. I want to do this event about the Doom imprint.
Oh no, I think you're right, because I've attended loads of events, and people have fallen out with me because they've said, well, okay, this person is brilliant, and he's got a long track record in saying negative, showing the government up for being the twats that they are. But I found his talk a little bit negative. And that was my criticism, and I got fucking roasted for it. And I was like, what people got to remember is that we are the creators, right? So if you go around talking about the end of the world, guess what's going to happen?
Yeah.
I go around talking about fucking flying cars and dragons and pixies and interstellar space travel and time travel and all this stuff, because that's what I've always felt it since I was a little boy. That's why I loved sci-fi when I grew up, and because I related to it, and I just feel everything's going to be amazing, and I believe in miracles. And I don't know why I feel like that. I just do. And it's like, yeah, this doom thing is a cult, and but again, it's like the I don't like calling it the truth of world, but in the awake world, there's a number of factions within it, and that's why a lot of truthers are falling out. That's why a lot of people are falling out generally over bits and bobs. Like I said earlier, with the Trump is still divisive, and you've got truthers that still love him, and you've got others, well, he pushed the vax, so I hate him now. And then you've got Q, the same thing. So psyop, well, it's a positive side. Then you've got things like the Sound of Freedom. It was made by the bad guys. Yeah, but it's doing a good thing. It's just constantly like this, but it's all everything. You are the only thing in the universe. You. And you're manifesting me, and I'm manifesting you, because I'm the only thing in the universe. And everything that triggers us is just showing us something we need to work through. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And I think you've got orbs around you. I think I just saw an orb. Maybe not.
More than likely. Somebody said to me the other day on a Zoom, they said I can see thousands of celestial beings behind you, Eli.
I think I'm starting to see them.
It's so funny. Well, I do feel multi-dimensional. I really do. And it's interesting with the kind of the doom cult. I was talking, I don't know what your take is on this, Mark. I'll ask you this question because I'm very interested in this idea of NPCs. And I watched Magenta Pixie's show about it, which was really interesting. And there's a woman called Sarah Elkady on YouTube who talks about it as well. But have you seen the film Free Guy?
Yeah, that's the first thing I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I was in the cinema, took my kids, and I sat there and I went, fuck me, this is everything that's going on in this movie right now. It's like, yeah.
It's really fascinating, isn't it? Because a lot of people are saying, well, why are we so special? Why are we the protagonist, and why are these people the supporting role? But actually, the Gnostics talk about it.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so it's a fascinating thing that again it's manifesting itself, and it's coming forward that there are these characters who don't necessarily. What does Sarah Elkady call it? Oh, the Gnostics call it the organic portal, the organic energy portal. So you're like a dumb waiter. You're like an old computer that's on a network and it hasn't got any real brain. And then it's just, it's like Agent Smith in the Matrix. That I think in the Matrix 2, where he comes in and he goes, I can put myself in any receptacle. I can put myself in any being. And Free Guy is just such a great movie, because what Free Guy says is you can move out into be an awakened, source coded person, divinely, attached to the superconsciousness and your divinity. And that whole film is about his awakening, about moving from being an NPC into being an authentic. The first thing he does is fall in love.
Yeah. Well, he
comes out and he sees that girl.
Yeah. And she's gorgeous in that film. Whoa.
Yeah. And he comes out, and that's the first thing that happens, is he falls in love with the girl. And the whole film is about him chasing the girl. It's about love. The film's about love. But the NPC thing is really interesting, and it's again, it's a little bit divisive. Oh, you think you're special because you're talking about NPCs. Well, no, what do you think?
That we see the person that says that to you is just you.
Yes.
And they're just like, we're all going through. Oh, you're an egomaniac going on YouTube. Am I? Why am I saying that to myself? Oh, because of some self-doubt that was put there when I was a kid. or in a past life. And it's just working through that and dealing with it and coping with it, you know, because without ego, none of us would get out of bed.
No.
You know, and it's back to this spiritual dogma. Well, you can't say that. I mean, I've talked about satanic ritual abuse and all 22,000 children. I've been going on about it for fucking years.
Yeah.
But what got people the most angry out of everything I've ever done is when I said veganism is a satanic agenda. Oh my God. Meltdown. There'll be people watching this now throwing bananas at the screen. You know, don't waste your food. There's a banana. Come on.
Yeah.
Full of potassium, allegedly. Bananas are extremely bad for you, actually. They're been tampered with beyond belief.
Yeah.
But you know, it's incredible what people get triggered by, and it's just great if you get triggered. It's just another spiritual lesson for you. Well done. Well done.
Yeah, well, I can imagine, Mark, that you know, you get this all the time, having the, you know, it must be really interesting sat there and looking at the comments and going, whoa. I mean, it's new to me. I mean, I first got attacked. I've not been attacked as such until I did an event in Glastonbury in January called the Great Somerset Gathering, and I had Anna de Bisseret and Tess Laurie, Michael Feely, Mark Devlin, and Anna didn't turn up because she was really unwell, and she's still really unwell. I managed to get Sandy Adams to come and talk instead about what a great substitute. Yeah. And I got absolutely battered. For it. Oh, you're this, you're that, you're the other, you're giving a flat. And I said to my wife, I said, I'm not used to this. No. I got to get used to it of being, you know, thrown under the bus. But it's a lesson, and it makes me stronger, and it makes me work on myself more and concentrate on myself more and focus on my performance and, you know, hone my skills and build up my kind of layers of sophistication towards these attacks. You know, I mean, I got attacked for the thing we did in Glastonbury last week. Two people just, one of them just hammered me and said, why wasn't I given a platform? Why wasn't I on stage? And I just said to her, I said, well, to be quite honest with you, do your own gig. Yes, it's not your gig, it's Sandy's gig. She's the one curating it, you know, and but it was just a barrage. And, you know, Andrew Bridgen turned up at the gig, and it was really funny because Sandy said, well, what's Andrew doing here? And she said, you know, is he spying on us? And I said, well, he's not spying on us. What he's doing is he's coming and listening to you. You know, it was a conversation we had. It was a lovely conversation. And Andrew at the end, Sandy said, can you come up and say something? And I went up to him and I said, you thought you got away with that, didn't you, Andrew? And he got up on stage. Great round of applause, because Andrew stood up, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Andrew has stood up in Parliament and said stuff. Nobody else is doing that.
He's real.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how real he was until I met him. And I'm like, oh my God, I had dinner with him. And I was like, the guy's real.
Yeah.
And he's awake.
Yeah. I actually thought it was really interesting because, you know, I thought, one, he's turned up, to this gig. Two, he doesn't understand the control structures. You know, in terms of Sandy's perspective, she's been doing it for years. She can point people in different places, and she was talking about Maurice Strong and all sorts of stuff, you know, and he was learning. He was there to learn. Yeah. And yeah, he's got to do deals. We know that. He's got to. You know, he's got all sorts of people in his ear. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine being Andrew Bridgen and literally having people in his ear saying, well, you know, what are you going to do next, Andrew? I mean, it must be very, very difficult for him to be, you know, who he is, because he stood up and he's, you know, well done, Andrew Bridgen.
Absolutely. But let's not forget, he is us.
Yeah.
We're all one. This is what this is all about. And all of this breaking down of these barriers and positions and, you know, followings and fallouts and ego, it's all just going to disappear. It's all going to go. It's all about you. Nobody's more important than anybody else, right? Everybody's been given a job to do. Andrew's got a certain personality that is perfect for the role that he's playing. And in a way, he had to get vaccinated in order to do what he's done. I mean, I also met Dr. God, I can't remember anybody's bloody names. What's his name? David. Sorry, David. I can't remember anybody's name. Anyway, he's a doctor that got. He's amazing.
Did he get vaccinated too?
Yeah, twice. And then he woke up and he realized what was going on, and now he's speaking out and he's getting death threats.
Yeah,
you know, but you know, these are all things to make us stronger. All of it, and everybody that's standing up, I applaud. And you know, and your time to stand up and your time to speak out is determined by, I think, your soul contract, because all of this is a script, as far as I'm concerned.
I was very, you know, when there was that really heavy, dense atmosphere in 2020, you know, and I realized very quickly that people had sold contracts and they'd made decisions before they got here on how they were going to play it and who they were going to be and all those sorts of things. And I thought, you know what, there's going to be so many people who are, you know, I always said to people, you're either going to get hit with a feather, i.e. you're already awake, and there's just going to be a gentle moving in a direction for some people, or you're going to have a concrete block slap you in the face. Yeah. And you're going to go, what the? And people who got vaccinated, you know, they've woken up really quickly, and bless them. Bless them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know?
And we're here for them as well. This is, you know, I believe we can cure this. I believe we can fix all of this, all of it. And, you know, and it's time for us to just sort of start doing what you're doing, taking action, pulling people together, continuing to educate, but continuing to be positive. And I'm actually going to be out of time, and there's going to be a phone call coming in 3 minutes, just so you know.
That's
even though
fine, Mark.
I could actually talk to you for hours. But yeah, it's amazing.
It's amazing. And you know, just going back to the celebration just briefly, everybody who comes to the Shine seminar is offering wisdom. You know, and a lot of people, it's really interesting because there's people who've been, you know, people like Clive and Emma Farrell, who's incredible. Mark Keane is just amazing guy. You know, obviously there's Maria and Michael Feely, people who've been on kind of the circuit, but they're all wisdom keepers. And it is truly magical to be with them for their hour and a half presentations. I've learned, as you have by having your guests on, I'm learning huge amounts just by being around these gorgeous beings. You know, it's absolutely fascinating to be around them. I mean, I'm just so grateful to have these people in my life, and you know, I want to do it all again. I want to do another one, and I want to go on tour. You know, Clive de Carlo and I have talked about going on tour, you know, and it's like, well, should we do it? Should we not do it? You know, I think we're going to, you know. So, you know, it's a beautiful thing. And
I bought this off Clive de Carlo.
Did you?
You know what it is. You know what it is.
Yeah.
I'll just show
it. Great.
Show it for the viewers, because some might have seen it.
Oh, lovely. That's a nice set. You've got a lot of attachments there.
Well, you know, there's a lot of parts of my body.
Yeah.
That was really good, because when he was showing me, he said, and this one's for the vagina. I don't know if you'll want that one. I went, yeah, I'll take them all.
Brilliant. Yeah, Clive's an absolute star.
You know, and Clive wasn't down with all of this New World Order stuff 3 years ago, and that's the funny thing. You know, a lot of people are in very different positions about what's really going on. But the thing is, you're right. There's wisdom keepers who've got knowledge. And we've all just got to be completely open-minded all the time and take what resonates and process it, and then see how that affects you on your own personal journey without reacting to anything and all that stuff's got to go. It's got to go.
Yeah. There are people in what I call the purification space, and they won't even deal with it. They'll go, well, no, I'm not getting involved in that. I'm doing this. You know, and they're off doing amazing things with their group, and they're going into sacred spaces in the landscape and stuff, and they're in the purification space, and it's not their place to be skirmishing, as I call it, you know, because to a certain degree we skirmish, don't we?
Yeah, well, you know, I kind of like a scrap. That's what.
Yeah. Well, you certainly haven't trodden, you know, a safe path, Mark, at all. You've been out there and you've said things, and you know, and put people in positions where they have to think. Well, be critical thinking.
Critical thinking is one thing, but the other thing is just stand up, because when you stand in your power, you're unbeatable. You're an eternal spirit. What is there to be afraid of?
Yeah.
Death. Well, that's how they've run the world. Your fear of death. Well, let's get rid of that then, shall we? That's the first thing I want to get rid of. And then laughter. They hate it. So let's laugh as much as we can.
Let's have some fun.
Let's have some fun. And let's try different things out. You know, try that methylene blue at a high dose. Drink that bottle of iodine. Go and eat nothing but meat for 3 months. See what happens to you. You know, just try it out. And then in the middle of it, you know, the amount of people that come up to me and say, "Oh my God, I've lost so much weight. I'm stronger. I'm fitter. That poem saved my life." It's like, wow. Yeah. What you can do this? It's like, that's what, you know, that's why I love talking to you today, because that's what you're doing, man. It's brilliant. And then we are going to meet and we're going to have a really good laugh. I hope you drink beer.
I'm a Samuel Smith man.
I thought you did. I thought you might.
Yeah, no. In fact, I've just got a whole load of chocolate vodka.
Oh, But
there's a company called There's a company called Friaries. Check them out. They do these incredible like lemon gins and all this sort of stuff. It's
I don't actually drink spirits very often, but I'll make an exception in your case.
I don't. No, I don't either, because there is a reason why it's called spirits,
I know
right?
that. I know. I mean, even with the alcohol, people say, "Oh, you're not going to ascend," and I'm like, "Look, for fuck's sake, this has been hard. Whatever it takes. If you need to get drunk to get up tomorrow, then do it."
Yeah,
Some people can meditate throughout this. Some people have found it really bloody difficult.
Yeah.
But
I mean, every tool is there for us to use, right? Every tool.
Well, everything is a tool.
Yeah.
And a lesson. Everything's a lesson. It's been fantastic speaking to you,
Thank you.
Eli. And this really is an amazing event. I really want to meet all of these people, the ones I've not met before. You guys, the shineseminars.org, go and buy tickets. 45 speakers. This is a great event.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. I really appreciate your time. You didn't have to.
Look, dude, I blew you out the other week because I was tired. Then you missed today's appointment because you were sleeping like an old fart like me.
Yeah, that's it.
And then we're like, I'll just jump on and do it.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you so much.
And hopefully all of this is about inspiring other people to do the same thing, or to get up and, nobody's in competition. Just go and do what feels right for you and stop being afraid.
Yeah, fantastic. That's a great way to end it. Thank you, Mark. Much appreciated.
Great to meet you. I'll see you soon. Stay in touch.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks, Mark. Brilliant.
Cheers, Eli. Here's that call. We'll see it. Perfect timing. See you later.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.